Pablo, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? JP, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? Evening. Manny, good to see you as well. T, how you doing? Good to see you as well. Manny, evening. How's everyone been? Is the XRP document on the SEC website real? Yes, the XRP document on the SEC website is real, but there's the part 2 side of it as well, which we're going to go through on tonight's live. But it is real. It's a real document on the SEC website. But we're going to be talking about essentially on tonight's live, definitely the impact of it, of how real it can become, or it's just a random filing. But it's a real filing. Hey Miles, what's up CMF? Good to see you as well. Kerry, how you doing? How you been? Any word on the outcome of that closed door meeting? No outcome so far yet. No outcome whatsoever. Let's do intro disclaimer and what we're going to be talking about tonight's live. Morning, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Morning, Shelly. How you been? So, welcome to the CMF Live if you're watching this for the first time ever. The CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. My name is Miles. I'm the host of this live you're watching it right now. And the episode that we're on right now is 280. And in this live, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, and regulations. Vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital space. We also do Q&As on this live as well, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And the disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. And on tonight's live, we're going to be discussing a lot of things that's happening around the world in terms of Russia, in terms of some of the BRICS nations, in terms of the US and their trade scenarios and their tariff situations, which is all positive, to be fairly honest. So a lot of things to essentially discuss on tonight's live. But before we do go through any of those topics, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into the first news. And the first news we are going to be discussing on tonight's live is regarding Russia and China and cryptocurrencies. So let's go to the comment section first. Dennis, good to see you. So how you doing? Hi, Miles of CMF. How you been, Dennis? Yes, XRP is going to the moon. Let's go, JP. Facts. I do agree. Has Coinbase officially filed for bankruptcy yet? No. Coinbase has not filed for bankruptcy, and it doesn't look like they're ever going to be anytime soon. If Coinbase does file for bankruptcy, it could be 4 decades from now, 5 decades from now. But what I would have to say is Coinbase has firmly got a very strong foundation. And there was one particular influencer, I'm not going to mention what his name was, and I can't remember what his name is, but there's one particular influencer on TikTok, crypto influencer, who's created a video and spread a little bit of FUD on essentially Coinbase in terms of their bankruptcy. Coinbase is not filing for bankruptcy at all. However, in their bankruptcy essentially regulations, if Coinbase does go bankrupt, then anybody holding their assets on Coinbase, their assets become vulnerable during that bankruptcy, which means Coinbase can take your assets during their bankruptcy scenario. So that is what is real, but Coinbase applying for bankruptcy, that's not real. Coinbase is not bankrupt. It's actually got a very strong foundation, is what I would have to say on that. So no, Kerry, they're not filing for bankruptcy. Good evening, Miles of CMF. Free and forever. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Professor Miles of CMF. Good to see you as well, Funky Brother. How you doing? How you been? It's good to be back. Honestly, I missed not doing the live yesterday. It's good to be back. Evening, Miles of CMF. Pierce, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? How you been? Trying my hardest to stay awake, Miles. Been up since 3 a.m. for work. If I do nod off, I'll catch up on replay tomorrow. No problem to you anytime. Hi, Miles. I'm hearing the case is almost over. What can we expect in price after the case is over? So regarding the XRP case, which we're going to discuss a little bit further on tonight's live as well, but regarding the XRP case, if the moment it gets dropped, and we know why it's taking long now, it's because there's a back and forward situation with Ripple trying to get the exact same essentially category that Ethereum got, which was a commodity, and Ripple was the same thing for XRP, because it doesn't make sense for XRP to be a security and everything else is not. Or when XRP is only sold to essentially institutions, it counts as security and it doesn't on the open market space, which is ridiculous. XRP should just become a commodity on both market spaces, not just one. So I understand completely why XRP is going back and forth to get the best result they want for themselves, and Ripple is doing a great job at that. I mean, they've got their essentially hands in politicians now, and they're incredibly close with the United States President Donald Trump, which is putting more pressure on the SEC to give things in the favor of Ripple instead of the previous administration, which were trying to scrutinize Ripple. But case over, XRP will do well for itself. However, we need regulations. That's when XRP can start decoupling from Bitcoin. So regulations is what's going to help XRP decouple, where we're going to be seeing XRP, not overnight, but over time at tremendous price points. Over time. But it's the regulations we need. XRP case coming to an end, getting dropped, and both parties get to walk away. XRP because the commodity, incredible. The asset will be, shooting up. Everyone will be hyped. Everyone will be so, happy about that scenario. Long battle that's just come to an end. And there'll be some hype inside the market space. However, if a war breaks out, 2 days afterwards, then the market will come down. So will XRP. However, if we have rules and regulations and something happens in terms of macroeconomic events or essentially a war happens or whatever happens, XRP will, won't be impacted as much because regulations equals utility. And if it's being utilized or any asset that's being utilized, it's harder for them to be manipulated on price points because now that they have utility, they're being used 24/7. When an asset is being used 24/7 based on its utility all around the world, it's difficult to manipulate that asset to bring it back down, even with war scenarios. Not saying it won't be impacted, but it won't be impacted as much compared to the rest of the assets that have no utility. So that's what we really mostly need. But case getting dropped, XRP could see a great jump within itself just because of the hype about it, because it's come to an end. In terms of price, I would have to say a little bit above where it's sitting right now. It's the regulations that's going to push it to new heights. It's being utilized by the banks. Banks getting essentially the green light fully to start utilizing crypto assets. That's what's going to give it that major push, essentially. Hi, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well, George. How you doing? How you been? And we have heard from essentially Bank of America's CEO and at the World Economic Forum event that just recently happened, where he came out and said banks are ready to utilize crypto assets. And then we've heard it from the OCC straight after the White House Crypto Summit, where the OCC said banks can also work with crypto companies as well now in terms of using or custodying crypto assets in banks. So we're not that far off in terms of regulations or anything else, even straight after the XRP case is finished. Hi, Miles and CMF. George, let's go. How you doing? Bull XRP, good evening, Miles and CMF. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Well, I haven't told the stockholders if they have any XRP news today. Yes, towards the end of the live, we're going to discuss a few things about XRP. Where did the $1.3 trillion added to the US stock market come from? If I had to guess, it would be BlackRock's back pocket. No, in all seriousness, if I had to say it, the 1.3 came from the mixture of institutions and the client base that they do have. I mean, BlackRock has a tremendous client base all over the world. So does Wells Fargo, so does Morgan Stanley, so does Citibank, and the list just goes on. Fidelity, for example, all of these major institutional players, Franklin Templeton, they have a humongous client base that can add a tremendous amount to the stock market and to the crypto market. So that's where the 1.3 trillion came. Hello, Miles. What else? Good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? Maraba, Miles. Good to see you as well, Mickey. How you doing? How you been? Good day, Miles. Good to see you as well, Mike. How you doing? How you been? Hello from Norway. How you doing, John from Norway? Also, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who's retweeted this live as well on X. I forgot to say that at the beginning because I'm still getting notifications from X. Thank you so much to everybody who's liked this, CMF members. If you have done this, Thank you so much. If you've liked this live on X, if you watched this on X, liked it, retweeted it on X, put a comment outside live on X, hashtag DixRP, Army outside the live on X as well. Thanks so much to everyone who did that on X. If you've done this on YouTube by liking the live and put a comment outside the video as well, thank you so much, honestly. CMF members, if you haven't done that, if there are some of you who haven't done that, please just take 1 second to do that. Just click the retweet button and put a simple comment down and like each other's comments. Now, first news on tonight's live we're going to be discussing is Russia and China. Russia is still being essentially sanctioned, even though there's a ceasefire option on the table, which Russia has agreed upon. Russia obviously demanded a few things from essentially Zelensky, but Zelensky is not really in the power, or he's not really sitting in the power seat in any sort of way. Putin is. Ukraine versus Russia, it's Russia that's sitting in the power seat, and Zelensky has no choice but to agree to Putin's demands, mainly because Zelensky realized that the US not backing them, that the US said, they're not going to back Ukraine unless they come to the table, which they have now, because Zelensky realized they can't do this without the US. And there was that, funny argument inside the market space or on X or on, TikTok or whatever, essentially, where people were saying Zelensky or Ukraine doesn't need Russia, that Ukraine doesn't need the US, and, Ukraine can fight this war, with the EU's help. Nobody needs the US help. Well, people may think that, but even Zelensky came to the realization about 24 hours later that he needs the US's help. So that war coming to an end is pretty much the best thing that's ever happened for the market space. Second, Russia is still under heavy sanctions, which means they have to find alternatives to start, getting some payments out. So this is what Russia is doing. I talked about Russia essentially doing cryptocurrency trade transaction purposes for oil and so on trades, and they're still doing it. Russia uses cryptocurrencies to sell oil to China and India. Russia is using cryptocurrencies to sell oil to China and India, finding a way around the Western sanctions according to 4 sources familiar with the situation. While Russia has supported digital currencies and passed laws last year allowing them essentially in international trade, their use in oil deals has not been reported before. According to a Retainer's report, some Russian oil companies are using Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoins like Tether to convert into Chinese yuan and Indian rupees into Russian rubles. This method helps speed up transactions and avoid restrictions. Crypto would likely continue to be used in Russian oil trading. Even if sanctions are lifted, the dollar can be used again, one source said. According to the International Energy Agency, Russia's oil trade was worth essentially $192 billion last year. And though crypto is a small part and it is growing, countries like, for example, Iran and Venezuela have already used cryptocurrencies to keep their enemies by avoiding the US dollar, which dominates the global oil trade. Russia is now following a similar path. Venezuela, for example, has increased their digital currency use into its crude oil and fuel exports essentially since Washington, essentially in terms of Washington sanctions. A fifth source, a researcher tracking crypto use in essentially sanction evasions, said Russia has multiple payment systems in place and Tether is just one of them. The Russian central bank has not commented on this matter whatsoever, and they wouldn't do either. The Russian bank will never come out willingly and say they're using crypto assets for oil trades. But last year, it admitted that the payment delays caused by sanctions were a major challenge for the economy instead. One Russian oil trader reportedly does crypto transactions with tens of millions of dollars each month for sales to China. And 2 sources explain that Chinese essentially buyers pays a trading company in yuan through an offshore account, and the company then converts the money into crypto assets and sends it through essentially different accounts, and finally is converted to Russian rubles for the oil trade to happen. Despite the growing use of cryptocurrency, traditional currencies still dominate Russia's oil trade. Some payments are also being made in the UAE's dirhams, and Russian crypto exchange, essentially Gatrex, has been sanctioned by the US in 2022, and the EU last month suspended services after Tether blocked its wallets. US policy essentially on Russian sanctions is uncertain, while some reports suggest that the White House is considering lifting certain sanctions now that Russia and Zelensky are sitting at the same table. Former essentially President Donald Trump has said he may impose even tougher restrictions, obviously if Putin doesn't, sign the essentially agreements of no more war. Putin has no choice but to sign it, and Zelensky has no choice because he's poor and weak. Although people might online claim, Russia is strong and they can win against Russia, I don't know what Delulu land people are living in if they ever thought Ukraine had a chance against Russia. I said this a long time ago. The war ended for Russia. I mean, the war essentially, in terms of a losing battle, happened for Ukraine day one that war started. But Russia using still cryptocurrencies to avoid sanctions is an interesting play. It adds capital to the cryptocurrency market space. It shows the world that you can use cryptocurrencies for essentially oil trades, and it's working. Russia did $192 billion in sales in terms of oil last year, and most of that was through cryptocurrencies. They were washing cryptocurrencies to make it happen, but it was through cryptocurrencies. And in terms of India is buying oil also from Russia using cryptocurrencies, and then India is selling the same oil back to the EU. The same people that won't buy oil from Russia directly, but end up buying double the price or a little bit over the price point from India, but it's Russian oil. It's just stupid to begin with. That's the only reason we have energy crisis situations in essentially the EU or in the UK, why our energy prices, if you live in the EU or the United Kingdom, that is the reason why your energy prices just suddenly went up when that Russian and Ukraine war started, or fuel, essentially petrol went up, and everybody was lighting up at essentially petrol stations trying to put some gas in their car, for example. But yeah, the EU is still buying oil from India. India is still buying the oil from Russia, and the whole idea is just moronic to start off with. Now, we're going to move on from essentially Russia, China, and India, still continuing to do essentially trade in cryptocurrencies when it comes to oil. And we're going to talk about Congress, the US Congress. There's the US Congress bill to seek and make the Bitcoin reserve permanent. Also, I think it involves the crypto stockpile as well, but they want to make it permanent. Now, why is that important? Because just in case this administration essentially, when it comes to an end, Trump is doing an amazing job on protecting Americans, creating more jobs in the US, and he's actually helping the crypto market space. Believe it or not, most people will think, Trump is trying to ruin the crypto market space. And in reality, he's trying to build a strong foundation for the crypto market space. Trump essentially bringing the market down a little bit is not a bad idea because of all the other impacts it's having in the long-term effects, which is building a strong foundation, getting rid of the SEC cases or the CFTC cases and so on, and making America a bit more crypto-friendly, regarding executive orders. Also, when people sell their crypto assets, they move on to stablecoins. When people see times of uncertainty inside the crypto market space, what some people tend to do is panic sell, and some people decide just to sell and hold it in stablecoins like USDT, USDC, RLUSD, and so on. Now, what does that do? That, in fact, makes the US dollars stronger, the actual US dollars, the fiat US dollars, because what's backing essentially Tether is fiat US dollars and US Treasury, US bonds, and so on. What's backing USDC is also US Treasury, US bonds, and US dollars. What's backing RLUSD? US dollars, US Treasury, US bonds. So, as the market essentially starts swinging about, more money is being going into essentially stable coins, which is also making the US dollar's currency stronger in the real world, the fiat one. There's a lot of, essentially, it links back to a lot of things. What Trump is trying to do with the tariffs, again, it's just to build a strong foundation. Everything Trump is trying to do, the media will tell you is negative. People around you might tell you it's negative because and people inside the crypto space might think it's negative because they're looking at price points, which is the last thing you should be doing, because what he's trying to do, again, I said he's trying to build a strong foundation. Everything he's trying to do is a positive. And if you can't see the bigger picture, go back to the drawing boards, because there's a lot of things he's doing for America's foundation and the crypto foundation. Now, US Congress bill, we're going to talk about now, in terms of making the crypto reserve or making essentially the Bitcoin reserve permanent. So if we don't have Trump essentially the next time around, because you can't be a US president 3 times in a row, but you can be 2 times in a row. So if it's not chosen as JD Vance, for example, I hope it is, but if it isn't, a legislative proposal in Congress seek to establish a US street Bitcoin reserve, and I think it's the crypto stockpile as well, a permanent financial asset. Representatives essentially Brian Donalds initiated this legislation to stop essentially forthcoming administrations from getting essentially rid of the reserves through executive orders. The establishment of the reserve emerged after former President Donald Trump essentially intact the executive order. The bill aims to enact permanent laws for essentially the reserve assets, as well as the US digital asset stockpile, which would protect both entities from possible modifications through future presidential executive orders. Essentially, they're trying to make sure that the crypto stockpiles, so XRP, Cardano, Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, stay as America's reserves forever, and that no president can ever remove it at all or modify it in any sort of a way, which I think is a brilliant idea. Congressional approval of the bill requires the support of 60 Senate members and House representatives and consent. The bill faces favorable conditions in the present days and political structure essentially involving Republican control of the Senate alongside the baptization of digital asset support. Information from Bitcoin's law indicates that 23 states have created proposals to establish a Bitcoin reserve. As evidence of the growing state and the federal financial interest in cryptocurrencies and policies, digital asset adoption continues to grow because investors use them to protect their wealth from economic decline and their rising prices. Blockchain policy experts emphasize the crucial role of the proposed legislation because it defines how the federal government will regulate digital assets. The internal government blockchain expert Andy Leon supports essentially the formalization of the reserve because it would provide governments, essentially Bitcoin and crypto stockpile, legal protection, which reduces essentially current regulatory uncertainty. The relationship between the federal agencies like the SEC and the CFTC regarding the crypto sector authority remains inconsistent. But essentially, according to his advice of a confined essentially reserve system, it would help align their regulatory framework even better. The implementation of a working Bitcoin reserve and a crypto stockpile faces crucial difficulties in securing funds while managing essentially secure Bitcoin storage and protection mechanisms. According to the bill, both department heads must develop a financing plans which would add no expenses to taxpayers' funds while essentially building a Bitcoin reserve, that crypto stockpile as well. The proposed legislation is it authorizes government Bitcoin purchases in long essentially runs, and since the government has not established a particular essentially step-by-step plan on how they're going to be purchasing more Bitcoin, they're going to continue just using that reserve forever. The legislative move demonstrates the essential foundation for a Bitcoin involvement within America's financial system. The ongoing legislation discussions have the potential to transform U.S. government regulations and management of digital assets. Now, I said this the day before yesterday. I said it's not a bad idea that the U.S. has decided to not buy any more Bitcoin and just keep their reserves. Now, obviously, Senator Cynthia Luminis is trying to pass still for the Bitcoin Act to get America to spend $1 billion and just purchase this tremendous amount of Bitcoin and just keep on buying Bitcoin until they have, 1.1 million worth, essentially 1.1 million Bitcoin tokens is what they're trying to aim for. I said the day before that, it's not a bad idea that the US doesn't want to buy any more Bitcoin. They'll rather just keep their US reserves. Because I said there's something fishy about Bitcoin. However, I said if America wants to go for American blockchain projects and keep it in their reserves, it's better because they can have more control over it in terms of the price point not being manipulated by foreign agencies, for example. So I personally don't think they should be purchasing any more Bitcoin in any sort of way. Now, on that note, though, on the topic of America, some Congress members and senators looking for ways on how to purchase more crypto assets. U.S. government holds $16 billion in Bitcoin and eyes 1 million BTC under a new bill. The U.S. government controls 195,234 Bitcoin, valued at more than $16 billion, according to a new Nason's report. The government's crypto portfolio also includes a $4.6 million worth of Ethereum, stablecoins such as USDC, yield-bearing assets, DAI, and essentially AUSDC. A newly proposed bill introduced by Rep. Nick could dramatically increase the government's holdings. The House Street Bitcoin bill aims to acquire 1 million individual Bitcoins, implying roughly 5% of Bitcoin's essentially total supply over the next 5 years. If passed, the dollar value of the purchase at today's market price would be just shy of $110 billion. The implications for the market. If the bill passes and the US government's Bitcoin holdings would surpass the estimated 1.1 Bitcoin attributed to Bitcoin's mysterious, essentially creator, which is Satoshi Nakamoto, this would give the government significant influence over market liquidity and price stability, potentially driving up Bitcoin's value and reshaping market dynamics. However, This level of ownership raises concerns about the centralization of traditionally decentralized assets. Large-scale acquisitions could make the government a price setter in Bitcoin's essentially markets, which some argue stands against the original efforts of cryptocurrencies. Regarding when it comes to people having morals or ethics and so on, when it comes to the market space, nobody has morals, nobody has ethics when it comes to the market space, up to a certain extent. In terms of Bitcoin maxis, they're the most confused people inside the crypto space possibly to date. Bitcoin maxis on one side scream about decentralization, and on the other side, they want a Bitcoin reserve where the US government buys a tremendous amount of Bitcoin. Michael Saylor talks about how Bitcoin is decentralized, it's the only asset that's decentralized, and nothing else is decentralized. But then even Michael Saylor wants the US government to purchase 1.1 individual, essentially 1.1 million individual Bitcoins, which would essentially give the United States government to be able to fix the Bitcoin price, essentially, which makes it centralized in a way. So this is why I say the Bitcoin maxis is the most confused people on the planet. On one side, they claim we are decentralized and Bitcoin is decentralized and nothing else is decentralized except Bitcoin. But on the other side, Bitcoin maxis want BlackRock to buy their Bitcoin, their clients to buy Bitcoin ETFs, and Fidelity for their clients to buy Bitcoin ETFs. And essentially, Michael Saylor wants the US government to buy a tremendous amount of Bitcoin and, you know, be able to control the price. But on the other side, Michael Saylor's going on live news channels and saying Bitcoin is decentralized. It's the only one that's decentralized. It's the only one people should look into. But then how can you be also on the same side of, you know, you want the US government to buy $1.1 million, 1.1 million tokens worth of Bitcoin? It just makes no sense. For example, I'm an XRP holder and I hold essentially XRP, XLM, XDC, H-bond, list goes on. I don't mind it. I actually prefer the US government to buy crypto assets. I prefer essentially BlackRock, Fidelity, Franklin Templeton, Citibank, Morgan Stanley. I want all of these companies to start buying the crypto assets I'm holding because they have all the capital and the retail section doesn't. First of all, the retail section is very flaky and they're not very coordinated. I want the banks and institutions inside the market space. I've always said this, but the Bitcoin maxis never make any sense. On one side, they talk about decentralization. The other side, they want the US government to control the price of Bitcoin. They're the most lost people inside the market space possibly to date. Now, before we talk about the next news, essentially on tonight's live, which is regarding Zelensky, which has been a very market manipulator cause, believe it or not. Let's go inside the comment section first. But the bill to essentially make Bitcoin and the crypto stockpile, XRP, Cardano, Solana, permanent inside the US government is an incredible bill. Absolutely incredible bill. Once it gets passed. Now, let's go inside the comment section first before we talk about Zelensky. As I said previously, this is live. So if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's see what's inside the comment section. We were here. Come on, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? Come on, says watching from work again, so I won't be able to chat as much. No problem, brother. Evening, Mouse. Talk, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Funky brother says, Mouse, you just said that the markets were pumped by 1.3 trillion, but on CMC cap is still at 2.74 trillion. It has just gone up by almost 200 billion. Wouldn't it take a while to show on CMC? Are you going to see a little pump then? No, the 1.2 trillion wasn't the 1. It's not 1.3. The 1.2 trillion. I didn't say it's for the crypto market, but we're talking about the stock market. I think maybe you were talking about the crypto market, but I was referring to the stock market. The stock market, the money entered into it. I said the people that have money, like Franklin Templeton, BlackRock, and so on, Fidelity, that's where the 1.2 trillion actually comes in. Their client base, that's where the money comes from inside the market space. I said that money could go towards the crypto market and the stock market. I said they could go towards the stock market and the crypto market, but in reality, it has entered the stock market. But no, I never said it's entered the crypto market. I said could do, but in reality, it's entered the stock market. Hello, Miles and CMF. Good to see. I hope that everyone had a good day and night. Good to see you as well, Scott. How you doing, brother? How you been? Even Miles and CMF, XRP is looking mighty green today. Yes, it is. Peg, let's go. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Had a great day. Thanks, Scott. Let's go. The maxis want everything. They are like the wind. It goes back and forth. I agree 100%. Hey, Miles and CMF, Comatose, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Sorry, I misheard that. No problem, funky brother. Okay, Zelensky. Zelensky has been annoying, to say the least, because the man could have ended this war a long time ago, but he wanted to milk it for the money laundering. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Everybody knows that there is definitely money laundering happening in Ukraine with all the funding is received, and some funding has disappeared from the table. So regarding Zelensky and the Russian situation coming to an end, Zelensky came to the realization after 24 to 48 hours that they need the US's help and they need Trump's help, even though it seemed like he didn't, but he realized he does. Putin, obviously, he wants Russia to be more stabilized and Russia to work with the US, so Putin has no choice but to sign as well. And this is what I meant by the power that Trump shows to the world. The United States president could be, genuinely, could be the most powerful person on this planet if he uses that authority. Trump is the only president that I've ever seen in my lifetime use that authority from essentially being the United States president, because previous presidents would just let, in Zelensky's, essentially in Putin's words, he only meets with the CIA pretty much after every president. And he never gets to meet the US president because he's never in control. But with Trump, it's different. And this is what I mean as they might, some people or some politicians or senators or governors or prime ministers, they might not essentially respect Trump, but they definitely fear Trump. And it shows. Zelensky coming to the table after giving that whole big show of we don't need the US, the UK can give us the money, the EU can give us the money, we don't need the US. And then essentially Zelensky realized, oh wait, we do need the US. And Russia goes the same scenario as well. Putin will bow down to essentially Trump as well, because they both fear him, because they know he's the actual US president that will use that power and authority. And even the UK, Keir Starmer, the UK prime minister, before Trump came into power and became the United States president, Keir Starmer made a big deal out of it. He said Trump is incompetent, Trump can never become president. And even Keir Starmer, the Labour Party, hired the Labour Party in the US to essentially bring up votes, more votes for Kamala Harris. Keir Starmer, the UK prime minister, was trying to get more voters for Kamala Harris at that time period when voting was going on. And now, you fast forward to now, Keir Starmer is pretty much begging Trump not to tariff essentially the UK. At first, Keir Starmer was giving the big show about of the UK is strong, the UK doesn't need the US. Now he's come to the realization on his recent interview today, especially as well, and the day before, that he needs Trump more than he thinks. And he needs the US more than he thinks. Even Trump said, Keir Starmer tried his best for the UK not to get tariffed, and we didn't get tariffed. Thank God for that. We didn't get tariffed in any sort of way. But, they also invited Trump back to the UK for, the second time around. The news was shocked that they invited Donald Trump to the UK for the second time around. And then Keir Starmer came on live news and said, well, because we need the US. They're our biggest ally. And we need Trump. Something I said a while ago. So here it is, Zelensky. So this is why I say they might, some people from the retail section, people inside the market space, presidents, prime ministers, Congress, politicians, some of them might not respect Trump, but they definitely fear Trump. So here it is. Zelensky urges the US to promote the Russia essentially ceasefire. Zelensky has called upon the US to press Russia for a ceasefire and the ongoing geopolitical tensions. It's interesting because Trump was the one pressing Zelensky for that to essentially come to the table deal. The appeal underlines the critical role of the US essentially potentially resolving tensions and affecting global dynamics. Why is this relevant to the crypto market space or the stock market in general? Is because it affects the market space. The longer this war carries on, the ups and downs we're going to have because of this war. The request from Zelensky arrives amid essentially heightened geopolitical tensions between Russia and Ukraine. His appeal to the US highlights a desire for diplomatic intervention. Ukraine leadership seeks international support to address the hostilities with Russia. This request for the US involvement emphasizes the importance of the global dynamic efforts. Zelensky stated, "We call on the United States to put pressure on Russia for a ceasefire as the humanitarian situation continues to deteriorate." Now, immediate effects are seen in the geopolitical landscape of potential essentially ripplings through economic essentially markets deepening or depending essentially on the actions of the US and the political implications of the US's involvements could influence the international relations. How the US responds to Ukraine's request could affect the broader, essentially, geopolitical alliance. Now, global alliance. Now, historically, US interventions has played a significant role in geopolitical crisis scenarios. Similar past events show the potential path for resolution or escalation. Experts suggest that the outcome depends on diplomatic effects and essentially and economic strategies, and historical trends underscores the significance of the US in decisions in international diplomacy. So, as I said, Zelensky came to the realization that they can't continue this war without the United States, and they have to listen to Trump. Russia's going to come to the same realization. Obviously, Russia did demand a few things, which one of them mainly being that he doesn't want any NATO party inside of Ukraine, which makes sense. Because Biden's administration, because Biden was half asleep, not half asleep, Biden was asleep during his entire presidency. Biden's administration, what they did for Ukraine back then was tell Ukraine to get rid of its nuclear power plant, basically, of its nuclear power. And then they told Ukraine, we will help you to, defend yourself and so on. So Ukraine got obviously rid of its essential nuclear power, and then, they got forced into a war with Russia by Biden's administration. And that's the truth. The news will never tell you. Biden's administration told Ukraine, if you drop your nuclear power, we will make you a part of NATO. Ukraine drops their nuclear power and starts a war with Russia. And they said, we'll back you during that war. And they decided essentially not to add Ukraine to NATO's list in any sort of a way, which made it worse for essentially Ukraine. And then they kept on funding Ukraine random amounts of money to launder it through their country. And then because they flattened parts of Ukraine, BlackRock is going to have a field day when this war is over, because they're going to get ready to build in Ukraine. Ukraine is also number 2 in terms of gas in the world. Ukraine has a lot of energy. But yeah, they came to the realization that they need the US, and Russia's going to come to the same realization as well. They have no choice. And people say, Trump couldn't end the Ukraine and Russia war in any sort of way. Yes, he can, because both countries fear Trump and the US. They fear Trump's power that the US has. Now, there is new development in the government shutdown crisis, is what we're going to talk about next. So, Democratic politicians tried to force the US government into a government shutdown. Now, that would have had major implications on the crypto market and the stock market if that happened. But it didn't. And the reason why the Democratic politicians wanted to essentially put an immediate government shutdown in place is because they wanted Trump to lose that sort of power and authority, and they wanted to stop Elon Musk from essentially looking into the Democratic fundings. Because we know for a fact, if you want to find dodgy behavior or dodgy amount of money being sent to illicit groups around the world, look towards where the Democrats will be essentially funding these activities in. And I'm not saying Republican essentially politicians are clean slates, not by any long shot. Politicians are all in general crooked. That's just a fact. Politicians in general are crooked. But the Democratic Party have done a tremendous amount of spendings on ridiculous things. And the newest one that just came out is that Democratic politicians were funding illicit activities in certain Middle Eastern countries where they were sending $40 million a week. $40 million a week they were sending to illicit groups, which I'm not going to name on this live, but just picture for yourself, illicit groups in the Middle East. One of those groups starting with a T, the other group was starting with an I. I'm not going to name what they are. So there's a lot of random spendings they were doing, and they were funding those types of groups of people. And the best part is that the Democratic politicians have the cheek to talk about morals when they were funding essentially those types of activities. So this whole government shutdown was just to stop Elon Musk from snooping around in their fundings. And it didn't work. The US Senate has taken a decisive step towards passing a Republican-backed spending bill, effectively ending the threat of US government shutdown. But the move has sparked a fierce division within essentially the Democratic Party over how to counter President Donald Trump's efforts to expand the executive power. The Senate approved the funding package by a vote of 62 to 38, putting congressional Democrats in a position to give up what they see as their strongest leverage to curb Trump and billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk's aggressive cost-cutting measures, which include drastically reducing the federal workforce and abolishing the entire government agencies. With legislative options dwelling, opponents are expected to shift their efforts to legal challenges in the courts. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer played a critical role in the decision-making process. With less than 30 hours left before the government shutdown, the veteran lawmaker announced he would drop his party's hold on the spending bill, prioritizing the continuation of government services over political movements. Chuck Schumer's reversal marks a significant victory for Donald Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson, paving the way for the spending measures, and final approval. The bill essentially ensures Musk's newly created Office of Government Efficiency retains the authority to make sweeping budget cuts while securing government funding through the fiscal year end of essentially September 30th. The political impasse coincides with the turmoil in financial markets as Trump's tariff policies have stoked widespread investor uncertainty. The S&P 500 had entered into a correction, losing more than 10% in 3 weeks, but the news that the Senate was making progress on the spending bill sparked a 2% recovery. 9 Democrats and 1 independent joined forces with nearly all the Senate Republicans to pass the bill with a simple majority later in the day, passing the 60-vote threshold. So, the Democratic Party tried their very best to do a government shutdown to stop Elon Musk from snooping around in politicians' pockets, and it didn't work. If we did have a government shutdown, the stock market would have had quite a bit of a crash, and so would have the crypto market, because unfortunately Bitcoin follows the crypto market, because unfortunately Bitcoin follows the stock market, and because we don't have regulations, altcoins follow essentially Bitcoin, which follows the stock market. So if they crash, we crash, because we don't have regulations. If we have regulations, we have utility, which means we're no longer, following Bitcoin's footsteps in any sort of a way. But they tried their best to stop Elon Musk from essentially snooping around, and it didn't work in any sort of way. So that in itself is incredible news. Now, stablecoins is what we're going to be talking about next. During these ups and downs we've had inside the market space, one particular essentially crypto assets have been favoring the most, which was stablecoins, USDT, USDC, RLUSD, and so on. So stablecoins have been in quite well for themselves. USDT has been in quite well for itself, and so is USDC, to be fairly honest. And every time, obviously, there are market corrections happening, there are market manipulation happening, there are war scenarios happening, any sort of major scenarios happening that impact the market space. Some essentially traders, and majority of traders, you could even say, sell their assets into stablecoins because it's stable. And what that does is strengthen the US dollar in the fiat currencies, what I'm talking about right now. Because, as I said previously at the beginning of the live, and when people essentially, what backs essentially USDT, the number one stablecoin, is fiat US dollars, US Treasury, and US bonds, and also gold and some other assets. What backs USDC is also fiat, and it's also US Treasury bonds and essentially US and so on. And same thing goes for RLUSD. Fiat US dollars is backing it, and so on and so on. And it's all on their websites. You can go read about it and so on. Now, with Trump essentially imposing these tariff scenarios and so on, it's helping the US on one side, building a strong foundation, bringing manufacturing back to the US, creating more jobs. And also, the US was being tariffed for the longest time. And now they're doing it back to make an open level field. They're also building a strong foundation at the same time for the crypto space. They're also essentially making a stronger US dollars, because the US dollar was being weakened. And there was a time period on the Biden's administration when the Chinese yuan was doing quite well for itself because of the whole BRICS thing, which come to an end because Russia decided to not create a BRICS currency, so that India and China is just left by themselves. Brazil is afraid of getting sanctioned or some sort of tariff scenarios. Same goes to South Africa, so they're trying to back out as well of creating some sort of currency to go up against US dollars. But in general, what Trump is trying to do with the tariffs and stopping this war and so on is, one, he's building a strong foundation for the United States government. Two, he's building a strong foundation for the United States people by bringing more manufacturing essentially back into the United States. Three, he's helping the US dollar get stronger in value, because even through the crypto markets, when we essentially experience uncertainty, people run towards stablecoins. And what's backing stablecoins is US Treasury bonds, US fiat dollars, and gold, and some other currencies and so on. So there's a lot of things Trump is doing. And here it is. So since the US elections on November 5th, 2024, stablecoin market capitalization has expanded by an estimated $45 billion. This surge points to the rising essentially acceptance of dollar-backed tokens and growing interest in regulated alternatives like USDC and PYUSD, ERC, and so on. The stablecoin list just goes on. Now, Satoshi's essentially club tweets notes that USDT recorded most of its market cap gains in late 2024, adding around $21.6 billion since the elections. Analysts associate that this trend essentially which active trading pairs on the rely of Tether's essentially liquidity. USDC followed closely, registering $20.8 billion in added market cap, and especially from January 2025 onwards. The industry observers attributed this consistent rise in its transparency offered by USDC as a reserve model. Other participants include USDE, which essentially gained $2.9 billion, although essentially overshadowed by the leading dollar-based tokens. USDE has still captured the attention of traders seeking alternatives, and this pattern reflects the ongoing competition within the stablecoin arena. PYUSD ERC recorded moderate, essentially, but steady expansions, reflecting a preference for trusted names in digital finance, and PayPal's PYUSD grew by essentially $210.1 million, supported essentially by PayPal's establishment, brand, and user-friendly platforms. And market participants who prioritize regulatory essentially backing appear to favor such essentially offerings. Now, URC, essentially a euro-dominated token from Circle, added $22.8 million, and observers see this as evidence that certain users are exploring stablecoins beyond also the US dollars. And this trend suggests that the regional demand for euro-based digital assets is gradually increasing. The reason why the USD version of essentially EURC is doing quite well for itself inside the EU market space is because, well, USDT is out of the EU due to the MiCA regulations. Now, while many tokens gained tractions, FDUSD saw $329.4 million drop in market capitalization. Traders could be moving funds into more liquid and better regulated stablecoins, especially those with stronger backings. And these movements indicate that the market participants are essentially gravitating towards a well-known issuers, emphasizing the compliance and liquidity. The overall addition of $45 billion underscores the evolving demand for stablecoins, transparent digital currencies, while smaller players adjust to changing preferences. So stablecoins are doing well for themselves. This is actually good news for RLUSD as well, who's trying to climb the rankings in terms of stablecoin. Now, and also the other positive being essentially, strengthens the US dollar, the fiat US dollars as well, every time someone buys a stablecoin. Now, because every time they, essentially they add more backings to it from Tether's side and Circle side. Argentina is what we're going to talk about next. Argentina, who is quite ahead, compared to other countries around in Latin America, also, compared to other countries around the world. Argentina has got to a stage where they're finalizing their rules for virtual asset providers. So here it is. Argentina's securities regulator has finalized the rules for virtual asset service providers, which cover general codes of conduct and custody requirements for cryptocurrency exchanges and other platforms listing digital asset transactions. Now, why is this good for the crypto space in any sort of way? It's because Argentina is definitely leading the market space when it comes to Latin America. Brazil is doing an incredible job as well when it comes to essentially that space as well, in terms of bringing the regulations, getting ETFs happening and so on. But Argentina is doing an incredible job as well. El Salvador is doing a pretty good job for itself as well. Latin American countries in general are starting to jump on the, the bandwagon of the crypto space and creating regulations, which all of this adds more capital. It brings more capital to the table to legitimate crypto assets. The regulators will publish essentially that by the National Securities Commission, also known as the CNV, under General Resolution number EP1058 if anybody wants to go look at that file. According to a translated version of the announcement, the regulation imposes obligations regarding registration, cybersecurity, asset custody, money laundering prevention, and the risk disclosure on VAS operating essentially in the country. The stated goal of the rule is to guarantee transparency, stability, and user protection in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And the announcement essentially said, Argentina tax lawyer Diego said, the final guidelines include mandatory separation of company and client funds, annual audits, and monthly reporting to the CMV. Since 2024, VAS operating in Argentina have been required to register or register essentially with registered PSAVs according to new rules and registrations may be revoked for non-compliance. So if you don't register, you're going to get non-compliance, which means you won't be able to operate. And any company operating with a registration may be blocked from by essentially court order. Individuals who are registered with the PSAV have until July 1st to confirm the new rules, and companies incorporated essentially in Argentina have until August 1st. Incorporated abroad have until September 1st. Those who do not comply with the established requirements and the deadlines will not be able to operate in Argentina, said as global law from DLA People explained. Argentina's essentially pushed for clearer rules and regulations and testifies 1 year ago after the CMV essentially implemented registrations and requirements and said that crypto issues would be subject to security laws. The regulatory pivot came essentially aimed at a growing wave of crypto adoption in the country, which essentially was partly driven by a rapid essentially depreciation of the Argentine essentially pesos. And by mid-2024, crypto adoption in Argentina had surged as locals flocked to stablecoins like Tether's USDT. As October essentially chain analysis reported that determined that Argentina had overtaken Brazil as the largest Latin American country for crypto inflows at roughly, this is how much Argentina is bringing to the table in terms of the table being the cryptocurrency market space. Argentina has been bringing to the table last year, for example, $91 billion, which is a tremendous amount. Crypto adoption trends remain positive in the face of Libra essentially scandals involving President Javier Milei, as Cointelegraph reported Milei publicly endorsed the meme coin before suddenly plunging the value, fueling allegations of a report. That's what happened in the past. Now, this is the amount of money essentially Argentina is bringing to the table in an essentially unregulated market space, $91 billion. If they're regulated, imagine what they can bring to the table. And they've overtaken essentially Brazil in terms of the amount of inflow that's happening. And this is great to see, because if Argentina is taking steps like this to regulate the entire market space for the crypto space, it means that they want to compete with the likes of the US with their crypto executive order, which makes the US slowly become the capital of cryptocurrencies. It seems like Argentina wants to aim for that title as well by the looks of it, because they're trying to regulate every aspect of the market space to be at the forefront of this as well. And if they're trying to do that, other Latin American countries will follow their footsteps, and they're also following Trump's footsteps, which is also something that I said a while ago. Whatever Trump does, whatever the American market space does, whatever the biggest market space on the planet does, the US market space, the rest of the world will just follow their footsteps, which means more capital will be added to the crypto market space, the more footsteps Trump's administration will take towards the crypto space in a positive way. Now, Vermont is what we're going to be talking about next. And what I mean by that is the SEC, essentially scenarios and Coinbase and lawsuits. So, as we all know, Trump's administration has been extremely positive for the crypto space. And some people might argue that they haven't due to price points, but they have if you look at the bigger picture, with the SEC especially dropping cases one by one. Now, the SEC dropped the Coinbase case a while ago, which was great to see. There was another case that essentially Coinbase was essentially having still going on with, which got dropped today. So here it is. Vermont follows the SEC move and drops lawsuits against Coinbase. The US state of Vermont has finally dropped its 2-year lawsuit against Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase. This move marks a significant win for the American cryptocurrency exchange, which has faced several regulatory difficulties in the crypto services. It's because the gig is up now. This whole trend of trying to sue crypto companies to squeeze money out of them died the moment Trump became president. Obviously, on the Biden's administration, everybody was greedy and everybody was trying to sue crypto companies to squeeze money out of them or squeeze a piece of the pie out of them. But now with Trump's administration, there's no more bullying happening whatsoever towards the crypto space, and instead it's just positivity towards the crypto space. So noteworthy, Vermont is one of the 10 US states that has sued Coinbase in 2023 for allegedly offering unregistered securities in their regions, which, if the SEC obviously dropping the Coinbase case, means the SEC said Coinbase is not selling unregistered securities, which means the 10 US states have to come out now and say, yeah, the SEC, Coinbase is not selling unregistered securities anymore, because the gig is up. The gig about suing crypto companies just for squeeze money out of them, it's over. Biden's administration is gone. The others are essentially Kentucky, California, South Carolina, Illinois, Maryland, Wisconsin, Alabama, New Jersey, and Washington. In an order of essentially authorities in the region changed their minds and decided it was best to forego the case, which is excellent news, because every single one of them realized it's not unregistered securities that Coinbase is selling, because the SEC said it's not. That's why they dropped the case. Vermont's Department of Financial Regulation took this decision in light of the US and SEC as an earlier move. In light of the dismissal of the federal action and likelihood of the new federal regulatory guidance, the division believes it will be most efficient and in their best interest of justice to rescind the pending show cause order without prejudice, and the department wrote. This is excellent news. I'll be very honest. This is very, very excellent news, because these American states realize they can't sue. Instead, it goes back to that old saying, which is, if you can't beat them, join them, which means those American states are more pro-crypto now than they've ever been before by dropping that essentially case. For more context, the SEC first hinted at this intention to drop its lawsuit against Coinbase just 1 month after Donald Trump became essentially president of the United States. The crypto exchange had argued that the agency had failed to provide clear rules for digital assets of firms in the country under Biden's administration. Though it was unclear what the SEC's next line of action would be, it was still to toss out its cases against Coinbase and other essential crypto firms as well the moment Gary Gensler left the building. The agency now has a crypto task force to guide the establishment of robust regulatory frameworks. This task force, formed under essentially Mark, the essentially acting chairman of the SEC, is also responsible for setting the new SEC on a sensible essentially regulatory path instead of an enforcement path. And this leaves behind the regulation by enforcement approach previously essentially utilized by the Commission. The Commission is close to withdrawing a controversial proposal that would have forced certain crypto firms to register as the exchange. Speaking at the Washington conference of the institutions and international bankers, Mark confirmed that the SEC staff are exploring options for abandoning their rules. If this is achieved, crypto firms stand to benefit greatly. The same way I said that these Latin American countries bring a tremendous amount of capital to the table if they're establishing the rules and regulations, is excellent news. And they're bringing in essentially $91 million is what Argentina's $91 billion is what Argentina is bringing to the table. With these essentially American states dropping the Coinbase case, it means that they want to join the table. They want to join the crypto table, which means they're going to bring their capital to the table, not overnight, but over time. But this is excellent news, absolutely excellent news. It shows that everybody's listening now to Trump's administration, which is America is a pro-crypto country, full stop. No more scrutiny towards crypto assets in any sort of a way, from politicians, from senators, essentially from states, no more, or for banks or any government departments. Now, moving on essentially from that to crypto.com. But before we talk about crypto.com, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer the questions you may have. As I said before, don't be shy. If you do have any questions, go for it. And I read out everybody's questions one by one. Everybody's taking time to put a question down, so why not, always go through them. So let's see what's happening inside the comment section. Then we go straight into the next news, which is regarding crypto.com and regarding the United Arab Emirates, UAE, or Dubai in essence. Let's see where we were at. We were at here. The rocket ship is about to launch. Elon Musk rocket. That's good news. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Mav, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Marcelo says, should I invest in pudgy penguins? Not financial advice in any sort of a way. Hell no. The last thing you should be going anywhere near to is a crypto project by the name of Pudgy Penguins or NFT project for Pudgy Penguins. No, don't ever waste time, money, resources If any crypto project starts with names like Pudgy Penguins or Penguin or Camel or Frog or Cat or Dog or Donkey or Camel or Horse, just don't go near it. What you want to go near essentially is crypto projects that have utility purposes, that have contracts in place, that have licenses in place, that have multitude of essentially partnerships in place and contracts in place. And that is what you want to go towards, especially in the environment that we're heading towards, which is regulations. The further we head into regulations, the more we're going to go towards assets that are the more institutions are going to get ready, or banks are going to get ready to go towards assets that have utility use cases going for them, rather than crypto projects that start with the names of horse, camel, frog, cat, zebra, penguin, donkey. Just don't. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of resources. It's a waste of your own time, to be fairly honest. So it's not financial advice in any sort of way. But if you want to be inside a crypto space, start aiming for legitimate assets. You know, there's multiple sources out there like Grayscale, for example, or essentially Morgan Stanley or Citibank, or even essentially JP Morgan's analyst Nicholas, who stated multiple times that the next clientele entering the crypto space is institutional clientele. And we can tell that is going to be the next clientele. I mean, you know, Morgan Stanley mentioning to all their client base that they're getting ready to enter the crypto space, and they're essentially telling them that that they want to help blockchain companies go public, or Citibank telling them, essentially Citibank coming out and say they want to create some sort of a platform for their client base that's like Binance and Coinbase combined, or Wall Street telling, essentially coming out and stating that they want to help the blockchain companies go public, or Bank of American executives coming out to say they want to essentially help blockchain companies go public and so on. So you can see that they want to enter inside that space. So don't waste your time with any crypto projects based on animal tokens, because there's not a single institution waiting to buy Zebra token. Okay, BlackRock, Fidelity, Grayscale, Franklin Templeton, 21 Shares, Archimist, the list goes on. You know, the top 500 institutions, not a single one of them is lining up, you know, after regulations are put in place and that strong foundation is built for the crypto space by joint, essentially between the SEC and CFTC. After a decade, they've come together. After regulations come for utility starts happening, not a single one of them is going to start purchasing Zebra token. They're all going to be aiming for, mainly now, because of the US crypto reserve, XRP, Cardano, Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Obviously, the other assets as well, but they'll aim for those more because the US is aiming for those more now. That's the US reserve assets. But yeah, not a single one of them is lining up to buy Zebra token or Camel token or Frog token or Donkey token or Cat token or whatever token or Monkey token. Not a single one of them is lining up, or Penguin token. Just use common sense and you'll be good inside the crypto space. Hope that helps. Not financial advice in any sort of way. Even Miles and CMF, sorry I'm late. Joe, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Now, Crypto.com. Crypto.com bags derivatives license in the UAE aimed global expansion. Crypto.com, as I was saying on the whole institutional side, Crypto.com is also getting ready for institutional clients. A lot. They've actually created a separate department within Crypto.com just for institutional clients, because even they said in their own words, the next clientele is institutional clientele. And Crypto.com wants to not only become a crypto platform, but it wants to become a tokenized stock platform, a derivatives marketplace, and so on. So the United Arab Emirates has to be one of the regions that has proven itself as a haven for crypto businesses in recent months. Crypto.com is the latest digital asset-based business to secure a virtual asset regulatory authority license from the authorities in Dubai. And it can now legally offer its services to institutions and eligible high-worth individuals within the UAE. Notably, the VARA license approves offerings and derivatives products like futures and swaps to users in the region. While the license comes with limitations, obviously, it marks a major step forward in Crypto.com's global expansion strategy. This VRA license also opens the exchange to the possible launch of futures and swap contracts and contracts for differences in CFDs on the platform. Eric, the president and the COO of Crypto.com, said, "We are aggressively transforming and evolving Crypto.com to provide users around the world with all the financial technology tools that they are looking for all in one place." Securing this license aligns with the derivatives exchange roadmap for 2025, which includes conducting several major rollouts and achieving regulatory milestones in the UAE. The company has held the essentially VASP license since November 2023, and during that time, it has made significant strides. A few of its core essentially achievements includes receiving a full operational approval in April 2024, launching essentially global retail services in August 2024, and through the strategic partnership with Standard Chartered Bank. In January 2025, the Singaporean-based digital asset exchange secured an in-principle essentially approval from the Monetary Authority of Singapore and an MICA essentially authorized license, a step towards expansion in the EU also. Apart from Crypto.com, several other digital asset service providers have enjoyed support from Dubai's regulators through those licensing. And last month, Bybit received an in-principle approval from the Securities and Commodities Authority, the SCA, of the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, to operate as a virtual asset platform operator. This gave the firm the legal essentially grounds to offer several digital asset services to retail and institutional clients in Dubai. And more recently, blockchain payment firms like Ripple essentially officially also received a license for a full regulatory approval from the Dubai's Financial Services Authority. And Ripple now has the backings to offer cross-border crypto payment services within Dubai's international financial sector, which we're going to talk about a little bit more on later towards live. But yeah, in general, what you want to do is stick to legitimate crypto assets, especially now stick to legitimate crypto assets. I've seen a tremendous amount of crypto influencers, which I'm not going to name, but I've seen a tremendous amount of crypto influencers promoting dodgy cryptos on chains, for example. For example, there is a few or a lot, for example, XRP meme coins out there. And I've seen the majority of XRP, not all, but I've seen a lot of XRP influencers become sellouts, where they're telling their massive followings to purchase XRP meme coins, which is the worst thing you could possibly say to your followers. Because you're telling your own followers not to buy XRP, but you're telling your followers to buy XRP meme coins with their hard-earned money. And the majority of people inside the crypto space, from the retail section, are people who are just trying to look for a better life. And there's a lot of XRP crypto influencers which need to stop because they've become sellouts. They're telling their followings, and some of them have tremendous amount of followings. Some of these XRP influencers, they have tremendous amount of followings, and they're telling their followings, who are regular people who have 9-to-5 jobs in most cases, who are trying to save up for a better life in this XRP space, and they're telling their followers to stop buying XRP meme coins. That is the most stupidest advice you could pretty much give to anyone who's trying to look for a better essential life. There's a lot of them. They've become sellouts. They're getting paid by these XRP meme coin groups to promote their crappy projects that have zero value, and then they just essentially let their followers hold the bag for them. So not in any world would I ever tell anyone, never mind, essentially the CMF, that, the group that we have, I would never tell anyone to essentially stop buying XRP and buy XRP meme coins, which is completely load of BS. While we're heading towards an institutional market space full of regulations, yeah, I'm going to turn around and tell people to buy XRP meme coins. Now, what you should be doing is focusing your time, money, and effort on XRP itself. Don't waste any money on XRP meme coins because they're all trash. Any meme coin pretty much is trash. It's a lottery ticket. When you buy meme coins, you're buying a lottery ticket. That's pretty much it. It's either your numbers hit or your numbers don't hit when it comes to meme coins. So, and I've seen a lot of crypto influencers essentially promote meme coins, which anyone to their own, but I don't like that type of behavior because you're telling regular 9-to-5 people to buy scams that you've been paid to promote. And for the longest time, that never happened inside the XRP community. Meme coins were never a thing inside the XRP community in any sort of a way. And then all of a sudden now, because XRP is doing better for itself, XRP crypto influencers, not all of them, but XRP crypto influencers are also becoming sellouts. They're promoting XRP meme coins to their followings who are 9-to-5 regular people. So every single one of you influencers out there, if you are an XRP influencer out there and you're promoting XRP meme coins and you're telling your XRP followers to not buy XRP, instead buy this new XRP meme coin like XRP Donkey or XRP Camel or XRP Frog or XRP whatever meme coin it is, you should be ashamed of yourself, because the people that are following you are trying to look for some sort of guidance to a better life. And you're telling them to buy dodgy coins that are produced under 5 seconds on the XRP ledger. For what? So you can make a bag? And then people also say, well, no, meme coins add liquidity to the pot, which is true. Meme coins do add liquidity to the pot. But do you know who adds that liquidity to the pot? Not the regular people. The whales, the people who dump on those meme coins, are the ones adding liquidity to the pot. So in reality, people would buy into a meme coin. 9 to 5 people would buy into a meme coin. And the person who created the meme coin, or it could be a group of people that created it, dump on everybody else. And they take that liquidity that they got from people who work 9 to 5 jobs and put it back into essentially XRP and say, well, it adds liquidity to XRP. Yes, but they're taking money away from you and they're becoming whales and adding liquidity to the pot. So why don't you just take your money and put it in the pot instead of going for meme coins, which then they take your money and put it inside the pot. And that's how they mean when they say, well, meme coins add liquidity. Yes, it does. But they're taking money away from regular people, becoming whales, and adding it to the pot. So why don't the regular people just add their money to the pot instead? So I've seen that trend happen quite a bit now with XRP influencers. I don't know what it is, but people will sell their soul for $100 on the crypto space. It's shameful to see that XRP influencers, not all, just want to point that out, not all, but it's shameful to see that XRP influencers are also becoming sellouts, and they're telling their followers to buy XRP meme coins when all their followers should be focused on is XRP, because that is the token that made it to the crypto reserve for the United States of America. That is the token that has a tremendous amount of contracts behind it. And once it gets that green light from regulations, you know what XRP is capable of. But the XRP meme coins are useless. So those influencers out there, that the crypto influencers, the XRP influencers, they should be ashamed of themselves, because the crypto XRP influencers were never like this. Because now that XRP is doing well for itself, these crypto influencers, these XRP crypto influencers are coming out of the woodworks and promoting XRP meme coins because they're getting paid to do it. So they'll become sellouts. For the longest time, it was Ethereum influencers or Bitcoin influencers or whatever, Solana influencers that are becoming sellouts. And now that XRP is doing well for itself, we're getting XRP crypto influencers becoming sellouts as well and promoting random meme coins to people. You should genuinely be ashamed of yourself. I could personally never do that, and I've never done that since I've been in crypto. I've never promoted anything, to be fairly honest, because I have morals. This is why I say you should have some, up to a certain extent, some morals inside the market space. And I'm not going to promote dodgy coins to people that are following me who are looking for a better life, just so I can make a quick bag on my own followings. I never would ever steep that low, but some people will. So be careful who you're following inside the XRP space, because some of those XRP influencers are promoting meme coins that they want to, dump it on you later on. Whereas your focus should be on XRP, because that's the token that made it to the US reserves, not the meme coins. And you shouldn't be focusing any money or time in trash when we're going into a regulated market space. So I just want to put that out there, regarding some of these influencers, some of these XRP influencers. Not all of them, some of them, they're becoming sellouts. So be careful. And as I said, they never did that before, but now that XRP is doing well for itself, they're becoming sellouts. Even if I was a CMF source, I'm late. No problem, Joe. Good to see you. How you doing? I sold my BTC and brought XRP, AVAX, and Chainlink. Let's go talk. Shelly says 100%. I've noticed this as well. They never used to show tokens, but they are on the XRP memes that last couple of months. Facts. Absolute facts. Now, US Senate Banking Committee, on the topic of regulations, or we're going into a regulated market space, and that's where your focus should be on, utility, because the time for meme coins ended a while ago. So US Senate Banking, also just to give you an example, Coinbase started delisting, for example, a few meme coins already in the state of New York. And the reason why Coinbase essentially started delisting some meme coins is because they said it's not compliant for these assets to be sold in New York. And one by one, each state will also become not compliant to sell meme coins. So New York, because, I mean, how could you not? It was Wall Street. Coinbase started essentially delisting some meme coins. And one of those meme coins was quite a big meme coin, which essentially they delisted, and people were gutted that Coinbase was delisting this out of New York. And the reason was because it's not compliant. It's because we're heading into a regulated market space. And institutions don't want to buy Donkey token or Zebra token or Cat token. Institutions want to buy what's inside the American crypto reserve, XRP, Solana, Cardano, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and something else on top. It could be XLM, it could be XDC, it could be HBAR, it could be AVAX, it could be TON, but it's not going to be Donkey token, Cat token, Frog token, Zebra token. I can't see it for the life of me, BlackRock clients lining up to buy Cat token when they could buy XRP. Can you? Do you see Franklin Templeton's client base after regulations lining up to buy Zebra token? No. So you need to realize what type of market space we're in. And it's not the animal zoo section anymore. We're going into a legitimate, essentially market space. The crypto space is about to be essentially becoming a mature market space. So the US Senate Banking Committee advances stablecoin bill with the bipartisan support. Full Senate vote is next. Under President Trump's essentially administration for the crypto sector, the US Senate Banking Committee has successfully pushed forward a bill regulating stablecoins as well. This marks a significant essentially move towards having the legislation essentially reach President Trump's desk for his signature. The bill essentially cleared the committee with an 18-6 vote, benefiting from the support of 5 Senate Democrats who joined Republicans in advancing the proposal. The US Senate Banking Committee has moved forward with the cryptocurrency industry stablecoin regulation bill, marking a critical essentially move towards presidential improvements. After appointing essentially its committee endorsements, the bill aimed at regulating US stablecoin issuers federally and is poised for a Senate vote, with a similar bill pending the House of Representatives. Despite several obstacles ahead, such as essentially the differences between the Senate and the House versions, the committee has successfully passed the bill with an 18-6 vote. Among the Democrats, supporting the passage of the Genius Act, where a bill co-sponsor Angela and Senate essentially Banking Committee members Mark and Andy, Lisa, and so on, and Rubin, the bill's sponsor essentially expressed his arm to bring the bill to a full Senate vote. By the essentially end of April. Now, at the Senate Banking Committee meeting, Senator Elizabeth Warren, a known skeptic of cryptocurrencies, proposed several amendments to the Genius Act. This legislation aims to establish a legal framework allowing non-bank stablecoin issuers to operate within the U.S. economy. Senator Elizabeth Warren suggested modifications to the Genius Act that would blacklist stablecoin issuers if their tokens were used for illegal activities, such as transactions with state enemies, drug trafficking, essentially, and purchasing other essentially illicit activities. Now, she also proposed extending the Act's regulations to include crypto exchanges and other essentially entities dealing with stablecoins. However, her proposed amendments were rejected along party lines. So, Senator Elizabeth Warren decided to add a few things into the stablecoin bill, and it got rejected. Good. Senator Elizabeth Warren is pretty much the most useless politician I've seen, and there's a lot of useless politicians, but she's one of the core useless politicians. Senator Elizabeth Warren is cheaper to bribe than crypto influencers. That's saying a lot. Near the end of the hearing, Elizabeth Warren expressed strong reservations about essentially advancing the bill, highlighting its numerous deficiencies and timing of the progression, in reports that Donald Trump was attempting to launch his own stablecoin, with a company known for legal violations. She referred to news that Trump, associated with World Liberty Financial, had been negotiating with crypto exchange Binance, which is an absolute load of BS. Warren criticized the decision to push the bill through while Trump was allegedly making deals with what she termed as a criminal stablecoin platform, cautioning that it was a mistake essentially likely to be regretted. Hagrid Bill said, "It presents common sense rules that protects consumers, promotes competition, and fosters innovation. It's time we provide clarity and stability that our country and its innovators so desperately need." This year, the crypto industry is essentially rallying on bipartisan support in Congress for its policies. A notable bipartisan success involved overturning an IRS rule opposed by the sector after 2020-24 elections gave Republicans control of both the chamber's stablecoin legislations, has become a key priority under Scott's leadership. Now, I just want to point out regarding the matter of essentially World Liberty Financial, it's once again, it's not Trump's token in any sort of a way, it's his son. And his son has several business partners that he's just part of the World Liberty Financial project. And also just one more thing to add on the whole meme coin section of the topic. In the past, I was asked by essentially multiple questions of, essentially, are there any meme coins people should be heading towards, or do I hold any meme coins? And I said, in my point of view, there's only 3 that could pretty much survive anything in terms of meme coins. Out of the million different types of meme coins there are, there's only 3 that I saw a possibility of surviving. One of them was Doge. Just want to point it out. One of them was Doge. I said the only reason that Doge as a meme coin will survive is because Elon Musk keeps on backing it. And as long as Elon Musk is backing Doge, it will survive. I said Shiba Inu will survive, mainly because Shiba Inu's community has done a tremendous work of getting a license in the UAE. A lot of people don't know about this. The United Arab Emirates has given a license essentially to Shiba Inu's new OS, Shiba OS, for Web3 services and so on in the oil section. So Shiba Inu, oil, the United Arab Emirates, that's the contract. That's just crazy. So for them to achieve that, very impressive. I said the 3rd meme coin I ever see surviving is Lunacy, due again to its backing from its community. Other than that, I've always said I don't see it. Meme coins are used for money laundering. That's their main purpose. For example, the Iranian government uses essentially Shiba Inu to launder money. The Iranian government also uses the other one to launder money as well, which has got some green logo on it. I forgot what it is, but it's got a tremendous amount of market cap inside of it as well. But a lot of governments use, sanctioned governments especially, use meme coins to launder money. And that's what they're mostly used for. Nothing more. Same goes with NFTs. NFTs will only use to launder money. A lot of people don't see the big picture on NFTs. They were only used for laundering money. Now, Michael Saylor is what we're going to talk about next. But before we talk about Michael Saylor, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's go inside the comment section first, and then we'll talk about Michael Saylor. Is Trump buying Binance? No. So there's a rumor going around that Trump is going to buy Binance. Not true. According to CZ. So CZ is trying to get a pardon from Trump's administration, or Trump himself. And then the Wall Street Journal and a few other liberal, essentially, and democratic, essentially, news agencies decided to, news media channels, decided to write articles about how, CZ is doing some sort of a dodgy deal behind everybody's back, and essentially giving a piece of the pie of Binance to Trump for his pardon. And CZ comes out and says essentially that he's not doing that in any sort of way, and it is illegal. Now, on the other basis, Trump is a businessman. So if he's going to pardon CZ in any sort of a way, he's definitely going to be asking for something in return for the United States people. So I could see a possible deal happening, not on the basis of, essentially regarding Binance and so on, but there's going to be something involved for that pardon to make it feasible for Trump to say yes to. But the whole rumor about Binance being sold to Trump and so on is just the rumor that Wall Street Journal spread just like usual. The Wall Street Journal was also the one that spread that 98% of crypto assets, 98% of crypto assets are used for illicit activities. That's what the Wall Street Journal said about crypto. And that's the exact same, essentially, thing that Senator Elizabeth Warren used that article from the Wall Street Journal last year to tell Congress and senators that this is why crypto is bad, because the Wall Street Journal said 98% of cryptos are used for criminal activities, which is also a lot of BS as well. Chain Analysis actually came out straight after that article and rectified after 24 hours and said, no, it isn't. It's more like 0.2%. And they showed proof. It's like 1 to 2%, or even less than that. and then made the Wall Street Journal edit their article. And then Elizabeth Warren didn't use the new article, the edited article. She kept on using the old article to prove her point. That 98%. So this is what the Wall Street Journal does. The Wall Street Journal spews so much babbling lies. It's comedy at one point. But then again, I do see Trump getting some sort of a deal, not giving out pardon for free. So let's see what that's going to be. But for now, it's a rumor. Loved your comments regarding Canadian politicians last night. Let's go, happy Pisces. Do you get many people messaging you, asking you to promote their tokens? Great question, Shelley. Do I get many people messaging me to ask me to promote their meme coins or tokens or whatever? Yes, I do. I get a lot, a tremendous amount. I could share my screenshots on X if people wanted to. I get a tremendous amount of people with meme coins trying to get me to promote their crappy little projects. And some of them will offer me essentially between $1,000, $2,000, $4,000, $5,000 they will give me in USDT to promote their crappy little meme coins. And to every single one of them, I either don't respond to them, or if I do respond, I tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine. Because there's no way in hell I'm promoting a crappy meme coin on regular people who are trying to make, better their lives on the 9-to-5 jobs. I'm going to tell people the truth, which is focus on this and this and this because we're going into a regulated framework. But yeah, I get a tremendous amount of people messaging me on WhatsApp, on Telegram, on X, on Instagram, on TikTok to promote on emails. I get some crypto meme coin, essentially people emailing me saying, promote our meme coin and we'll give you this much amount. I get a tremendous amount of essentially across all my social platforms and my email. And as I said, if I do respond, I tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine, or if I just don't respond to them. But yeah, I got a tremendous amount of them. Every single one of them. That's exactly what I tell them. Stick where the sun don't shine, or I just don't respond to them. Should we buy some Shiba in or carry on sticking to financial projects? Sticking to financial projects will be better. But if you want to go just because of that scenario of the oil trade, why not? It's very, very small amounts. Pocahontas is staying quiet because she knows Trump's going to get to her law. Yeah, Pocahontas is definitely sticking quiet. Senator Elizabeth Warren is still being quite a bit loud. And once, Elon Musk starts snooping around on why does Senator Elizabeth Warren have a small wage, but a tremendous amount of essentially crypto, a tremendous amount of portfolio. Her portfolio is massive, but her wages don't add up. So that's just crazy in itself. Now, Michael Saylor is what we'll talk about next. Michael Saylor reveals the time it will take for Bitcoin to become the world's largest asset. As you all know, Michael Saylor breathes, eats, and sleeps Bitcoin. So here is his new prediction on the market space. Michael Saylor, founder of Strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategy, has made another bold prediction about the future of Bitcoin. According to Saylor, Bitcoin will surpass all other asset classes in the next 48 months. Becoming the largest asset in the world by market cap is his newest prediction. Saylor noted that Bitcoin's exceptional growth during a recent discussion, saying Bitcoin is the strongest asset in the world right now. It's growing at almost 60%. It's become the 7th or 8th largest asset in the world and is on track to become the largest asset in the world in the next 48 months. Bitcoin's market cap has already reached several $1 trillion, surpassing major companies and traditional asset classes. If Saylor's prediction holds true, Bitcoin could overtake assets like gold, global stocks, markets, and real estate in terms of total market value. And Saylor is quite ambitious about Bitcoin's potential role essentially in shaping economic policies and financial sovereignty, and proposing the idea of a strict Bitcoin reserve as a tool of the US to maintain its digital and financial leadership in the 21st century. By holding Bitcoin in reserve, Saylor argues that the US can gain exposure to a rapidly expanding market that he estimates will be worth between $3 trillion and $106 trillion by 2045. As a decentralized asset, essentially as decentralized digital asset, Bitcoin provides a hedge against inflation and traditional market volatility, making it an attractive store of value for both institutions and governments. That is the slogan for Bitcoin. Genuinely, a very inaccurate slogan, but here's the slogan that everybody uses from the Bitcoin Maxi side on Bitcoin. As a decentralized digital asset, Bitcoin provides a hedge against inflation, and in reality, Bitcoin follows the stock market. And essentially, and traditional market volatility, again, wrong. When there's a war scenario or the stock market collapses, Bitcoin also collapses. And making an attractive store of value for both institutions and governments. Not sure about that one either. But XRP would seem like a better value asset, essentially, in XLM, so XDC, HPRO, and so on. The list goes on. But there is a slogan that we keep on giving to Bitcoin, and it's not doing well for itself. They, as I said previously, they say Bitcoin is digital gold. It doesn't react like gold. Gold goes up in value and Bitcoin goes down in value when there's a war, for example. Or they say Bitcoin is a risk-off asset. Really isn't. It's more like a risk-on asset. Or they say Bitcoin essentially is a hedge against inflation, traditional assets, and so on. And in reality, Bitcoin follows the stock market's footsteps. That could do something with the client base in Bitcoin now, which are a tremendous amount of institutional clients. And on that topic of, the title these Bitcoin maxis give to Bitcoin, the reality of it is Bitcoin doesn't reach any of those titles. It's like producing a car that has the top speed of 100 miles per hour. But then people go around and say this car can reach 200 miles per hour. And in reality, it can't. Bitcoin maxis will go around and tell people Bitcoin is digital gold. But it doesn't react like gold. If a war breaks out tomorrow, where's Bitcoin going? Up or down? It's going down. Where's gold going? It's going up. So how is it digital gold? Can't be in the same category. And then they say Bitcoin is a risk-off asset. But it doesn't react like a risk-off asset. Gold is a real risk-off asset. Bitcoin reacts more like a risk-on asset. Then they say Bitcoin is a hedge against the traditional market space. But then again, Bitcoin follows the stock market's footsteps, which is the traditional market space. So on that topic, which I've discussed many times, essentially, which I've said many times, that there's a lot of lies being spread about Bitcoin as if it's some sort of golden goose. And in reality, it's more like a duckling. Bitcoin decouples from gold as precious metal trades at all-time new highs. So here it is. Bitcoin is essentially, hovering at the price point it is, tracking the behavior of stock indexes and the tech sector. The leading coin decoupled sharply from gold in the past few weeks. As the precious metal sets new price records, Bitcoin's decoupled sharply from gold signals its status as a store of value may be vulnerable to short-term fluctuations and aggressive trading. Gold sets a series of new records, gaining attention from mainstream markets, while Bitcoin continues a series of aggressive deteriorative trading with some spot selling pressures here and there. The recent decoupling of Bitcoin and gold made even Bitcoin maximalists question why the leading crypto coin was not seen as digital gold. Because Bitcoin is not digital gold. It doesn't react like gold. The one advantage of Bitcoin is that it has a capable of rallying more sharply and delivering higher returns from early investors. However, gold also shows it's not forgotten during periods of uncertainty. In other words, if a war breaks out, gold is going up because it's a real safe haven, not the one that pretends to be a safe haven, which is Bitcoin. Gold crossed $20 trillion in total market capitalization at its valuation. Bitcoin have essentially to command a price of $1 million per coin, a valuation that seems unrealistic during the current market, essentially volatility. Despite this initially sluggish gold appreciation compared to Bitcoin rallies, the metal has in fact outperformed essentially Bitcoin and given more short-term stability. Gold traded at essentially around $2,983.36 after the rapid expansions from March 10th onwards. Geopolitical insecurity and the raising demand essentially extended gold's gain to 34% for the past year. With even more accelerated gains in the past 3 months, gold may also be vulnerable to selling and pressures from holders of paper contracts. But for now, the market retains its momentum. US-based demand is also bringing physical gold into the US from European vaults, creating an additional sense of scarcity. At the same time, the talk of crypto strategic reserves has slowed down as Bitcoin shows that there are still enough sellers to essentially depress the price. And in theory, Bitcoin is more scarce per person compared to gold, yet easily available. Physical gold remains limited, raising the spot price higher. So, for the longest time, I've been saying, why do we keep on giving the title of digital gold to Bitcoin when it doesn't react like gold? If any Bitcoin maxi comes out and goes, Bitcoin is like digital gold, the first thing you should say to them, just as a simple question, if any Bitcoin maxi comes out and goes, Bitcoin is like digital gold, the first question you should be asking that person, instead of the comment section, face-to-face, is, if a war breaks out tomorrow, if Russia and Ukraine decide to missile each other tomorrow, what does Bitcoin do? Does it go up or down? And what does gold do? Does it go up or down? And the correct answer will be Bitcoin will go down and gold will go up, which will show that Bitcoin is not digital gold. Because one is the real gold and one is pretending to be one. Genuinely, it's a simple question. If any Bitcoin maxis ever say, Bitcoin is digital gold, ask them a simple question. If China and Vietnam go to war tomorrow, what happens to Bitcoin? If China and Vietnam decide to missile each other tomorrow, what happens to Bitcoin? Does it go up or down? Bitcoin goes down. What happens to gold? It goes up. Not like this, but a little bit of time, it'll go up. Well, Bitcoin will go down. So how is it digital gold? It doesn't react like gold. And then they say, well, Bitcoin is a risk-off asset. A risk-off asset would go up in times of uncertainty, not down. That's a risk-on asset, which is what Bitcoin is, not a risk-off. So those are the truths about Bitcoin that Bitcoin maxis don't like hearing, because as you know, the truth hurts. Nobody likes hearing it. But it's a very simple question. If Bitcoin maxis ever go, Bitcoin is digital gold, just ask them a simple question. If China and Vietnam go to war tomorrow, they start missiling each other, what happens to the price of Bitcoin? Does it go up in value because it's a risk-off asset, because it's a safe haven? No, Bitcoin goes down. So how is it a safe haven? So how is it a risk-off asset? So how is it digital gold? It's a simple question. Now, MoonPay is what we're going to talk about next. And the faster we get regulations, the better it is. The faster we get regulations inside the crypto space, the faster XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, Solana, Cardano, all these crypto assets that have contracts, that have utility in place, can just decouple themselves from Bitcoin on the regulations. And then let Bitcoin do whatever it wants to do. Go up and down as much time as it wants when wars happen or anything happens. Because once we have utility in our assets, they're being utilized 24/7, which means we won't be no longer manipulated by Bitcoin's price point because our assets are being utilized for their purposes under regulations. For example, if XRP is being used as a medium for payments of international payments or domestic payments 24/7, if XRP is being used for that purpose or the regulations of bank institutions worldwide, then it's not going to be following Bitcoin's price, is it? Also, if a war breaks out, money's still going to be needed, which means XRP will do well for itself, actually, because it's a medium of payments. So those are the truths about Bitcoin that people won't tell you, that Bitcoin maxis won't tell you. And most people won't tell you because they don't understand how things operate around the world. Now, MoonPay is what we'll talk about next. But before we talk about MoonPay, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'm more than happy to answer the questions you may have. So this is live, as always. Let's go inside the comment section. Kamal says, personally, seen one of my messages, Miles, received from scammers. Yes, a lot of people, honestly. I'm learning a lot. Thank you so much. Jeremiah, no problem, anytime. Now, MoonPay. MoonPay buys a company by the name of Iron for $100 million to boost crypto payments and bring some more liquidity to the table, which is incredible to see from MoonPay doing that. MoonPay, a leading crypto payment infrastructure, is making big moves inside the digital financial industry. In a recent development, the company brought Iron, which essentially builds stablecoin payment systems, in a deal worth at least $100 million. This move essentially is poised to help MoonPay offer businesses and fintech companies faster and safer ways to use stablecoins for payments. MoonPay essentially competes with big players like PayPal and Stripe by adding stablecoin technology. In recent statements, MoonPay's co-founder and CEO essentially said that this acquisition will help enterprises, fintechs, and global merchants access instant, essentially programmable payments. And Iron's payment system can help businesses instantly accept stablecoins and payments from anywhere in the world. It allows essentially merchants to hold and manage essentially different currencies in one place, as the system essentially has built-in security features like anti-money laundering checks and identity verifications. And these features make it easier essentially and safer for companies to use stablecoins in daily transactions. MoonPay started as a way to buy crypto with debit cards and bank transfers and mobile payments like Google Pay and Apple Pay. Now it's become much more. With Iron's technology, MoonPay can help businesses, technologies, and MoonPay can also help businesses accept stable coins, making instant payments and manage digital money across different currencies even better. MoonPay's latest move is similar to that of Stripe, a major essentially payment essentially company that brought a stablecoin platform called Bridge for $1.1 billion in 2024. Just like Stripe, MoonPay is now focusing on enterprise-grade stablecoin payments. Meanwhile, this is not MoonPay's only big purchase this year. In January, for example, it also brought Hilo, essentially a Solana-based payments company, for $175 million. And these deals bring MoonPay closer to its goal, essentially, of making crypto payments simpler and easier for everyone. MoonPay is quickly becoming a leader in digital payments. Last year, the platform received approval under the European Union's Markets and Crypto Assets (MiCA) regulations. This license has proven that the firm is compliant with MiCA rigorous standards. And the MiCA license has also essentially allowed users to interact with the platform's fiat to crypto and crypto to fiat payment services across Europe. The approval has also positioned MoonPay for expansion of its services in European crypto ecosystems, and the company will also be able to lead innovation in the same region. As stablecoins gain more use in global trade, MoonPay ensures businesses have the right tools to keep up. With faster payments, better security, and more options for digital money, MoonPay is shaping the future of how businesses handle crypto transactions, which is incredible to see. Which means if you're a merchant, if you're a business owner, and you want to get involved inside the crypto sector, and you want to essentially get paid, for your products using cryptocurrencies, you could use MoonPay, for example. And incredible, honestly. So if you're inside the business sector, or if you have a business and you're thinking about joining the crypto space, but you just don't know how, and you're looking for a simpler option, MoonPay is a massive crypto company. The previous company they bought was $175 million in January time. Now they've bought another company, roughly about $100 million, to make life simpler for business owners. Why? Two reasons. One, we're going into an institutional market space for the crypto space, which is why MoonPay, I'm guessing, did this movement, which is incredible to see. And two, they're going more inside the stablecoin section because America has just passed essentially some sort of stable laws, the Genius Act. So in other words, a very genius move from MoonPay. Good on them, honestly. Now, XRP is what we're going to talk about next. And what we're going to be talking about XRP in terms of is the PDF documentation. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty of this XRP PDF documentation regarding the SEC talks and so on, and utility. So here it is. XRP nears commodity status as ruling and utility shape SEC talks. So everybody's seeing that PDF document on the SEC website, the filing that was done with the SEC. Now, everything that was mentioned on the filing for XRP was incredible. XRP becoming a commodity, XRP being used in financial assets and so on. It is all the green lights XRP needs to be utilized to its max. The issue with that filing was the person who filed it, and it was by a random name. Now, two things you should know about that filing. One is that, actually three things you should know about that filing. One is that if it's an actual SEC filing done by a company, then it has to be a verified person who filed that in. So because the name that person is, it's either three people. When you search that name of the person who filed the XRP filing with the SEC, and it's a real filing on the SEC website, it's a real filing on the SEC website for how XRP should be used and approved and so on. And it's all positive. The filing is what we need. But one, the name of that person who did the filing is a bit odd because it links back to three people. The first person that comes up is a essentially a BMW salesperson. The second person that comes up under that name is a furniture salesman from Austria. And the third person that comes under that name is a person who's passed away, who's a doctor. So we can rule out the doctor, which leaves two people. It's either the Austrian business furniture salesman or it's the BMW salesman. So, which also, just to be fairly honest, leaves a third option, or second option, which is it could just be a made-up name. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, can a made-up name apply to the SEC? Yes and no. So, if it's going to be a filing from a person that's essentially within the United States and so on, it has to be a filing through a company. So there are certain rules and regulations with the SEC filing system. So in some aspects, depending on the filing, if it's a 10KD filing or an 18K something filing, it has to be a person that can prove their identity. So somebody that has to prove their identity to the SEC through either a company or so on, and that's how the filing is made. Now, if it's a filing by a retail person, it's just, a normal filing. They can use fake names. There's also the other option where the SEC accepts it, where it could be tipping. You're tipping the SEC on something, where then you would have to get a lawyer involved to make your name anonymous, but the lawyer has to verify you're a real person, and then they can file with the SEC. So there's three ways of filing with the SEC. It's either you legitimately file, as yourself, using your identity for your company, you're filing with the SEC or a 10KD file, or you're essentially applying anonymously, but through a lawyer, but you're tipping the SEC off on something, and the lawyer has to verify you're a real person by checking your identity, but then keeps your name anonymous in the filing. And the third way is if you're just a retail section member and you want to file something with the SEC in terms of another essentially documentation where you can actually give a random name that doesn't even have to be on the system. So there's three ways of filing with the SEC. So whoever this person is either it's a fake name or it's a real name. But what he has filed in for is all the things we need. So the SEC is considering essentially changing their XRP status, which is what they're essentially filing essentially say. And from a security to a commodity, just like Ethereum is what it wants to happen. If this motion passes, XRP will have less on its place to deal with government restriction in its favor and will take a better position than the market. In the meantime, Vermont has withdrawn from its lawsuits against Coinbase, which I read out a little bit earlier on tonight's live, blaming the SEC for shifting its position on cryptocurrency regulations, and such developments have a substantive impact on essentially laws and categorizing regulatory cryptocurrencies. The SEC versus Ripple case makes everyone anxious for the conclusion, as the commission essentially accused XRP of being an unlicensed security and tried to suspend its trading activity. However, recent reports suggest the two parties are set to reach a settlement. Now, that is what is actually going around, that they're going to be coming to some sort of a settlement agreement with essentially XRP, Ripple, and SEC, and that's coming from a familiar source, which is Ella Terrett, the Fox Business journalist. Now, the Fox Business Network senior correspondent Charles also reported that the SEC is looking into whether XRP will continue to trade as a commodity as opposed to a security, much like Ethereum made its transition from the ICO to essentially a commodity. He noted that the only difference is that Ripple was sued, but Ethereum wasn't, because ETH had since transformed into a commodity. If the motion to change XRP from a security to a commodity gets approved, the effects will spill over into the country's cryptocurrency regulations, and the SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce hinted that some digital assets like meme coins won't be treated as securities anymore. The Commission is also interested in partnering essentially with the US's top commodities regulators and the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, CFTC. If the SEC settles, its issues with Ripple's XRP market value may reach its all-time high. Ripple wants XRP to be like Ethereum so that the SEC classifies it as a commodity for transactions and not an investment contract. The SEC could also consider past legal cases to support its decision, including 2022 lawsuit in which Vermont and essentially other US states sued Coinbase for breaking securities regulations with staking services. However, the company's chief legal officer recently disclosed that Vermont dropped all their charges and so on regarding essentially Coinbase. Now, in 2020, for example, the SEC filed Vermont's essentially regulators explained that the SEC has come up with a new task force to review the crypto regulations for the better. And since one state already admitted that its past arguments don't hold up anymore, the SEC may decide it was too harsh on Ripple and to take the next steps to reclassify XRP, which makes a lot of sense because if everything else is getting dropped, then nobody's really unregistered security. So how come XRP gets half security, half not security? In my point of view, the SEC should just step back and, essentially file in something on the matters of removing the status of securities from XRP in terms of being sold to essentially institutions, and should be treated like Ethereum, for example. In 2020, the SEC filed that lawsuit against Ripple, and the SEC claimed that Ripple illegally sold XRP as an unregistered security, and the news came as a big shock to many XRP holders, and was the third most popular essentially crypto in late 2017. And sorry about this. And it defended itself by arguing that XRP isn't a security but a digital currency. XRP's position was valid as the whole supply of 100 billion tokens was mined at once, making cross-border payments transactions faster and more efficient. Ripple owns more XRP in escrow and only releases its measured amounts to keep the market stable, but the SEC didn't like that. The Howey test classifies an asset as a security under the US laws. If people invest their money into the shared projects and expect the profits from someone's efforts, the SEC argued that Ripple did just that and added essentially the company had more control of the supply of its altcoin and actively promoted its value, meaning it should have registered XRP as a security. To summarize, the lawsuit said Ripple sold XRP as an unregistered security and raised some of its $1.3 billion, which violated federal law, security laws, and so on. But now that all of that is out the window, and Gary Gensler is out the window, and all these cases getting dropped, it's not fair for XRP to be under the same previous ruling, and that essentially XRP and Ripple, essentially SEC, should come to the conclusion to remove that stupid Judge Torres essentially parting where it's stated that XRP sold to institutions, securities, but sold on the open market. It's not. In reality, it's not. It's just a commodity, full stop, not a security. Now, also on the basis of Ripple, we had another thing, but this one was extremely positive. And the SEC one is positive. Whoever did file it in, it could just be a random person, or it could just be somebody that doesn't exist. But all the things that we need was in that filing, and it was on the actual SEC website. But again, it's just a proposal, and anybody can make that, and it can be a fake name as well. Under certain laws, it can be fake name, as it's essentially explained in 3 steps. Now, Ripple also secures a DFSA license to offer regulated crypto payments in the UAE, which happened essentially yesterday. But here's a little bit more information on that Ripple matter regarding the UAE. Blockchain-based payments provider Ripple has received a regulatory approval from the Dubai Financial Services Authority, the DFSA, becoming the first company of its kind to be licensed in Dubai's International Financial Center, the DIFC. The US-based firm will now be able to offer fully regulated cross-border payments in the United Arab Emirates, which boasts a $40 billion remittance market. Ripple will be able to boost cross-border payments in this market space. Just want to point out something, that Dubai has done cross-border payments before with Singapore on test payments and with China on test payments, and a few of the smaller countries with test payments. They've done cross-border payments before, in digital cross-border payments, and now Ripple has got a full green light for cross-border payments out of essentially the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, which is incredible to see. Perfect timing also, because we all know this case is about to come to an end, and Ripple is about to get a favorable decision, or was wanted. The US-based firm now essentially will be fully regulated cross-border payments, and the DFSA license marks Ripple's first regulatory approval in the Middle East, a full-on regulatory approval. The company has been steadily increasing its footprint in the region since setting up office in Dubai Special Economic Zone back in 2020. Currently, nearly 20% of its global customer base are based in the Middle East, and its entry into this market is meant to address long-term standing efficiencies such as high fees, slow settlement times, and a lack of transparency. According to 2024 Ripple survey, 64% of players inside the financial industry in Africa and the Middle East see blockchain-based currencies as a key to improving their payments speeds. Reacting to the approval, Ripple CEO Brad obviously stressed the importance of regulatory transparency in this essentially driving growth in digital asset space. And he said, "We are entering an unprecedented period of growth for the crypto industry, driven by a greater regulatory clarity around the world and increasing institutional adoption," because that's where we're heading. The next clientele is institutional clientele. The company now has a portfolio of over 60 approvals across the globe. These include licenses from the Monetary Authority of Singapore, New York's Department of Financial Services, as well as Ireland's central bank. And the list goes on when it comes to Ripple in terms of the banks and institutions that's working with it. But those are approvals, those are the ones as well. Now, in general, the news that's coming out of Ripple one by one is incredible. The SEC case is going to end very, very soon. In my point of view, I said since the 1st of January and the ending of 2024, I said Q1, Q2, this case should be over. The only reason it took a little bit of time is because Ripple is trying to get the same clarity that Ethereum has for itself. And it should do, because it deserves it. XRP is an incredible asset. Ripple is an incredible company. And the XRP holders are amazing people. But the SEC filing that happened, those are all the things we want for XRP to happen. But we just don't know who that person is, if he really exists. And you can apply with a random name as well. But in general, the news around XRP is still excellent. And we are going into an institutional market space, which is perfect timing for this case to be coming to an end. And on that note, we have reached the endings of tonight's live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this is the Crypto Mouse Family live show, which stands for essentially the CMF. And in this live, Monday to Friday, 11:25 p.m. UK time, and this is episode 280 of the CMF Live. This is episode 280 of the CMF Live. Thank you so much to everybody that tunes into every episode from the CMF. We're on episode 280 right now. Incredible. And in this live, I talk about the most recent news happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, and I always break things down as simple as I can so everybody has a better understanding. And also, if you haven't, CMF members, if you have, thank you so much. CMF members, if you haven't, please do this now, when we do end the live, or now if you want to. But if you were tuning in and you enjoyed this live and you want to tune in essentially for the next episode, tune in on Monday, because as I said, this live is Monday to Friday and today is Friday. So tune in for the next episode of the CMF Live on Monday for episode 281 at around 11:25 p.m. United Kingdom time. So if you have already done it, which is like, retweet, comment, hashtag the XRP Army outside the live, inside the comment section on X. Thank you so much. If any CMF members have already liked this live on X, if you watch us on X, if you've liked this live on X, if you've retweeted this live on X, if you put a comment outside live on X, if you've liked each other's comments, retweet each other's comments inside the comment section of this live, thank you so much to every single one of you. If you haven't done it already, CMF members, go and do it. Like, retweet, comment, and like each other's comments. Put some hashtags in that comment section as well. And let's grow this family bigger and bigger and bigger so we can help a lot more people and put them on the right path. Because I'm tired of seeing people being mistreated inside the crypto space, being misinformed inside the crypto space on purpose for greed. So also, if you're new, you're watching this for the first time ever, and if you did essentially like, comment, and share and retweet, thank you so much for that as well. If you haven't followed me, follow me. Subscribe. If you also watch us on YouTube, if you've liked the live, thank you so much. If you put a comment outside the live, thank you so much on YouTube as well. If you subscribed on YouTube, thank you so much as well. I will be seeing everybody tomorrow. No. I will be seeing everybody on Monday. Before we do go, let's consider the comment section first. Are there any news on Lunacy? Please, no news on Lunacy so far, I'll be honest. Thanks, Miles. Have a great weekend. Mickey, you too. See you on Monday, same time as usual, brother. Have a great weekend as well. Night, Miles and CMF. Pablo, see you on Monday, same time as usual as well. Thanks, Legend. Have a great weekend, Miles and CMF. Let's go, Shelly. See you on Monday as well. Great. Have a great weekend as well. Good night, Miles, and all the CMF. Great live and news. Thank you. Let's go, JP. See you on Monday, same time as usual, brother. Great show. Let's go, Susie. See you on Monday, same time as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Great live. See you on Monday. Let's go, Free Forever. See you on Monday, same time as usual as well. Good night, Miles and family. Comatose. See you on Monday, same time as usual as well. Also, we have a CMF communities page on X. If you haven't joined it yet, join the CMF communities page. It says Crypto Miles Family Lounge. Crypto Miles Family Lounge. It's an X communities page for this live. It's completely free for anybody to join into it. And we also have our Telegram group as well, which is also free. Anybody's more than welcome to join that. And this live that you're watching, also free. Everything I provide is completely free of source. Good night, Miles and family. Coming to see you Monday, same time as usual. Night, Miles. Cali, see you on Monday, same time as usual as well. Great weekend, Mav. Let's go, Mav. See you on Monday as well. I'll be seeing everybody on Monday, same timing as usual, 11:25 p.m. UK time. If you followed, liked, comment, shared, and retweeted, thank you so much to every single one of you. If you haven't done it, go and do it, please, if you do get a chance. See you every Monday, same time as usual, 11:25 p.m. for episode 281 of the CMF Live. Everybody have a great weekend, have a great day, have a great night, depending on where you are around the world. See you every Monday, same time as usual. Thank you, Miles, for your time. We appreciate it. Let's go, Joe. See you on Monday, same time as usual. See you every Monday, same time as usual.